Good morning to you. It's 8:45 at I-Fiber 1. Jeff Slakey. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Got a great conversation forthcoming here as we dive on deep to a port of call conversation. Wendy Smith is in studio, and this morning we have Dave Windom from the Sanderson RC Flyers Club. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on and talking a little bit about this. You can find more about the Sanderson Field RC Flyers on Facebook at facebook.com/Sanderson Field RC Flyers. We'll put the links to that as we post this interview right after the show. So, Dave, welcome, and tell me a little bit about the RC Flyers, what you do, what types of RC Flyers these are, and the whole spiel here.
Sure. So the Sanderson Field RC Flyers started back in the mid-'80s. It's an offshoot of the Academy of Model Aeronautics, which started back in the 1930s.
Okay.
So this has been going on for a long, long time. The Sanderson Field Flyers, our group, we've got about 50 people. Some here in Shelton. We have some members from as far away as Tacoma and Olympia who come here to fly as well.
Wow.
So it's a very diverse group. We have, people in their 20s and people in their 80s who are still out there flying.
What types of airplanes do we see, and how big are some of these things?
Well, some are very small. Some are only 15, 16 inches for the smallest ones. I'm building one right now with a 9-foot wingspan, so we have some that are very, very large. Some are sport models, which are just designed to fly, pattern or speed. I'm into scale aviation, which is we try to take a full-size airplane and duplicate it in miniature right down to rivets and panel lines and all the markings. And then it has to be flyable as well. So,
where do you get the parts for these kind of things? So when you want to make it to scale, and there's rivets and things like that, do you actually put on the metal rivets, or are they kind of painted or on? Well,
what I use are glue drops, very painstakingly applied over many, many evenings,
Wow.
just a drop at a time. There are other ways of doing it, but we still use the traditional balsa and plywood. I also use foam and fiberglass. So a lot of what I build, I can pick up at the hardware store.
Really? Where do you get the plans for these kind of things? Or is this part of the group? You guys sit around and talk about best practices for best flight
Right.
patterns?
We're always teaching each other new things. So we've got some people who are very adept with the balsa and plywood construction. Other people are branching out into new things. It's an interactive. We go out and we teach the kids, so we're working a lot with high school kids in kind of the science technology thing. We bring them out to the field, we show them the airplanes. So we're trying to get that interest in the technology of aviation throughout the lifespan.
I mean, RC airplanes, I think, are kids of all ages love watching these things. And I know when I drive by parks and you'll see some folks standing in the middle of a field there, and you look up, and sure enough, they've got some planes. Kind of slow down a little and take a look to see what's going on. It's got to be great having this group up at the port, Wendy.
Absolutely, yeah, we love, and that's why I invited Dave today. He has an upcoming event that I'm sure he'll share about, but we love to be a partner. They actually lease the inactive runway year-round from us, and then they do some varying events throughout the year based on their needs. So, yeah, it's been a long-time partnership, and it's great. We love it. And as a side note, my dad, one day, he and his wife were driving just through Shelton, and this was a few years ago now, probably 5 years ago, and just happened to drive by and saw that they were doing, like, this giant event. They had, I think, even bleachers for stands out there, and public was welcome, and they did a big show, and I mean, he just was like a little kid.
Yeah.
He just was like, go on and on and on. So you're right. I mean, people are kind of drawn
to these things. They're very cool. How fast do these fly?
Well, some of the racers and some of the jets are well over 100 miles an hour. So it's a little more adrenaline than I prefer when I fly.
Yeah.
But some of the guys are really into the speed stuff.
That is very cool. Tell me about what's happening on June 9th and June 10th.
So June 9th and 10th, we have two events back-to-back. So on the 9th, we have a star party. We're going to be out there in the evening, starting at 9 o'clock, with telescopes, and we have an expert coming in to talk to us about the stars and telescopes, all about the night sky. And then the next morning, we have an event where, of course, it rains here a lot in the wintertime, and we don't fly a lot, so we have what's called the Winter Build Challenge. So those of us in the club will build something over the winter, and then we bring it out June 10th in the morning, and we'll do the maiden flights for all of our new stuff that we've been some of us have been spending a year working on. So,
Can you share with what you've been working, or is it a secret?
oh no, I've been working on it's called a Pilotus Porter, which is if you saw Air America, it was one of the featured airplanes in Air America, and I'm doing mine in the colors of the Swiss Army. So I have a Swiss Army airplane.
Wow.
And it's a 9.5-foot wingspan. It's electric powered, so it has an electric motor instead of a gas motor. So that technology has come a long way. So the noise level of what we've done has come way down.
Yeah.
It makes us much more public friendly.
I can see that for sure. I mean, great up on the port though, for any type. So some are gas powered and some are electric. Other technologies involved. Do people have solar panels? Are there lights on these as well?
Yeah. So mine has a full set of working lights. So when you come in for landing, I lower the flaps, and then I have landing lights that drop down. All the lights work.
Oh my gosh,
some of these things are very detailed. Some of the engine technologies, there are now turbine engines for model airplanes that sound exactly like a jet engine, because that's exactly what they are, is a jet engine. There are 4-stroke engines that have that great 4-stroke old-timey sound, as well as electrics and gas. So
it just kind of depends on the plane you want to do, and then how you put it together.
Right.
And you said you had about 50 folks in your group?
Right.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So June 9th, June 10th, and you don't have to be a member of the club to come and visit.
These are open
to the group. Again, on Facebook, the best way to find it at Facebook, Sanderson RC Flyers, and we'll post the links to this as well. Some of these pictures, these things are so cool looking. And what got you involved in this?
Well, I started off as a kid.
Yeah.
With the balsa and tissue airplanes, and then after college, I started doing RC airplanes in the 80s and 90s, and even now I'm still writing for some of the airplane magazines, the model airplane magazines. So I started doing articles and traveling around the Northwest. So I've been to many, many events, seen lots of really cool stuff, and it's really about enjoying yourself and having a good time. It really appeals to like the kids to guys in their 80s. We have it all.
When it comes to the remote control, does it have a heads-up display, or is there a camera that you can watch what you're looking at, or is it all kind of you're looking up and you just know the controls over the years?
First-person view is the newest, hottest thing. So the new transmitters, there are new transmitters where you can have a camera on board in the airplane and fly it just like you were sitting in a pilot's seat.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So I haven't gotten to that point in my technology, but I still fly it the old-fashioned way, if you can call it old-fashioned. Our radios now are digital, where they used to be analog, so we have a lot less interference. Technology has jumped tremendously in the last 10 years.
What were some of the biggest leaps when it comes to the technology of this, and does it filter down from the large aircraft world into this, or is it more along with small motor technology? I'm not. Yeah.
Well, it's a mixture of both. So some things come to us, as electronics advance, those technologies kind of wash downstream into our transmitters and receivers. Those are very much more impervious to interference than they used to be.
Okay.
Engine technology, a lot of it's built in hobby shops. A guy decides he's going to build a model airplane engine, and then goes into the business of doing model airplane. So it's just any combination of things. Very creative people in this hobby.
Do they also have helicopters? And then what are your thoughts on all these drones that are out there these days?
So helicopters, they've been flying those since the 80s. That technology has come a long ways. Again, they have sport models. They'll do aerobatics that a full-size helicopter can't do.
Yeah.
But they also have scale models as well, in much the same way that the model airplanes do. Drones are new on the scene, and in some ways they have been kind of a detriment because people have flown them places where they shouldn't have.
Sure.
So by belonging to the Academy of Model Aeronautics, we adhere to a very strict code of conduct and standards that prevent those kind of mishaps from happening.
So that kind of keeps. Yeah, I can see how like all those drone stories that we hear going over the Capitol or things where they're not supposed to, and then you guys, unfortunately, perhaps get lumped into this type of
flight. So that part looks bad, but they missed all the parts where the high school kids are using drones to do research and do racing, and there's all kinds of other aspects of drone activity. This particular club isn't much into those, but it is certainly becoming a large part of the model aviation community.
This is really cool. So coming up, mark your calendars, right, for June 9th and June 10th, the first annual Star Party with the RC Flyers there and a tour of the universe. It's going to be at up at Sanderson Field on the runway and the inactive runway there. And then the next day is the Winter Build Challenge Jamboree, so folks can see what everybody's been working on hard throughout the winter when, yeah, you're right, the weather is not the best to get out there and fly again. Find out more information with the group here at Sanderson Field RC Flyers. Got Dave Windom in here along with Wendy Smith from the Port of Shelton for today's Port of Call conversation. Thanks for coming on and telling us a little bit more about this, Dave.
Well, thanks for having us.
Wendy, good to see you.
You too.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.